the thing in the chat.
Link.
Oh.
Right. 2 minutes. Okay, let's split them up a little bit.
That chart you sent into the thing is really interesting.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see that the console, they were like pretty much stable throughout the whole thing. I mean, they have a when they went to sort of like saturation, they stayed there. Like also the PC was a lot bigger than I expected.
Yeah, PC is massive. Joe, I think it's because again, it's one of those things where it's like when you're not in that environment, you don't realize how big it is.
Yeah.
But obviously, like League of Legends, Dota, all those games are absolutely gigantic. But we don't. If you don't play it, you don't. We don't even know about. Yeah, like you wouldn't even know about it if you don't play it. But like once you play it, you're like, well, of course it's massive. It's Dota. It's League of Legends. So, and again, I think with that as well, one of the things with that graph, console, you can see it just scales with the releases of each console. Like it's pretty much like they are as bound by like releases, whereas like PC, it's like in mobile the releases are way more like increments. Like mobile actually took off, whereas console, like each subsequent increment was like phased in over time. Like people didn't just upgrade to the next thing all at once. Whereas in mobile, kind of there's like a big jump between like the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 15. So like capacity was like capabilities went up. PC's pretty stable too. Handheld, that's absolutely died.
Yeah, arcade died, unfortunately.
Like VR is such a small portion. It's crazy.
Yeah, I got a friend of mine. He's really, he's really like into VR, but he's always been like he's a big fan, and he's the son, like like the first person that we did the dev stories, and he's really into VR, and yeah, like there are some money going in, like quite decent amount of money, but and if you see like the slice of the market, it's like, wow, that's interesting. Like the market is basically nothing, but pretty much everyone, okay, I would say like with a pinch of salt, but pretty much everyone clueless now is trying to get something on the metaverse thingy just because they think they can, they can scam some investors out. I really believe the 99% of these people are just scammers. They just want to get on the latest bandwagon, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's literally. And I think that's a shame. Hey Tom, how are you?
I think VR he has such a massive potential. It's such a shame.
It's unreal too. Like it's that's the thing. I don't know. I feel like we're selling it so much shorter than what it is, because it's like, when you look at what they're proposing, some of the stuff I'm like, damn man, you're not even like pushing the limits of VR. You're just trying to make a quick buck off it. You're like, oh, you can own this item in VR. No one cares about that. I want to feel like I'm in the like immersiveness and spatial presence, like actual like, like actually taking reality, like virtual reality, a step further, rather than just trying to make money off it. Like because like the whole shift was like it got people excited about VR, but for like the most mundane stuff, like, oh, I'm excited about owning a artwork in VR. So that's not the exciting part. Is the fact that you can have whole environments and worlds that you can explore in VR. But no one cares about that. It's just about like, I want to own this ape. So what?
Yeah, I mean, like combining that with that crazy NFT stuff, and it was a recipe for disaster, right? But like, I got a screenshot, right? There is a friend of mine. He's working in Meta, right, Facebook, and he post and he's working with like John Carmack and all the gods, right, of a video game, and it's not stupid and it's not naive, right, but like he posted this screenshot, right, I showed it here, like say, oh look, we are 1 year apart and this is where we are with VR, and it's basically embarrassing, right, like if you look, where did it go? Oh, right. Here we go. Here, like, come on, like, this is like 2022. I mean, like, this is embarrassing, right? Like, you are the biggest company in the world, and you have the best programmer in the world, John Carmack. And if you can, like, if you do this crap in 2022 and sell it for VR, Metaverse thing, you have a big problem. You have a huge, a reality check problem. I think this is really embarrassing, and what I don't understand is how they're so happy to share and say, "Oh, look, we got this avatar from 1995." I mean, like, I don't know, like, what are you thinking? And like, and all the people they go, no, they want to jump on the bandwagon. I mean, what are you doing? Like, there's been so many people that are gonna lose so much money over this.
I don't get it. I don't, because like that. The thing is that, like, obviously, like when I speak to Adam, who like he works in the VR industry, same game, the game dev story stuff. Like he was saying, like, obviously a lot of work is to offload as much computation as possible to the cloud, so that obviously you can render better models and all that stuff. But like, you think that would be like making that, because it just looks like a Nintendo Wii game, like
yeah.
do you know what I mean? And it's like, no matter the functionality, you physically will not be immersed in it if it does not look visually immersive. Like, no matter, like when I was doing my research for my project, it was all about like realism and spatial like realism and like control and all this stuff, like so key to like making like the key like aspects of spatial presence. Like, if characters looked real and they felt real and behaved real, then you felt like you were actually there, and then that is what made you learn more engagement, all that stuff, interest, all that crap. But like with that, it just and this is why like business, I can't, like, people don't take it seriously. It's because it's like, it just looks like a game. Do you know what I mean? It just looks like a Wii game. And when you're trying to market it for like, oh, you can have business like, this is not even in part of gaming. Yeah. This is just part of all work and corporate business and all that stuff. It's like, what? But it looks like a game. You know what I mean? Like, but it looks like a kid's game more than anything. And so like, how can you target corporate business and big business and these older guys and older generation and serious people, like, when it looks like a game? Like, because then you'll be at work and you'll be like, oh no, you can take corporate calls and work calls in VR. It's like, well, I don't want to play games while I'm at work. Like, do you know what I mean? That's what I would do. You can just
answer the phone. It's probably easier, right, than just being in VR for no reason, right?
Yeah. Some of the things
so go on.
No, I was saying some of the when they, I don't know, I think they did some misleading stuff as well, because some of the stuff they were showing was like, it's really weird. They would like, it was like people were playing basketball, and then they were playing basketball with people in VR. And I was like, hold on. Like, it's very different. Like, you need to, because as my mate said, oh my God, it'd be so sick. We can like go out and play basketball, and then our friend somewhere else can play basketball too. I was like, well, no. I was like, no. It's like, you'll both be inside. Like, you can go out and run around, but you wouldn't be actually holding the ball, because if you have a physical ball and you throw it, your friend's not there to catch it. It's just gonna roll down the hill. Like, it's just like, oh, but then like, yeah, I don't know. It's just Facebook again, but in VR, really, isn't it? It's just a social networking app, just in VR. That's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've not seen the use case that's like blown me away yet. But
yeah, they are very clever guy. We had some chats with the Facebook guys like 10, 12 years ago, and talking to them, like they're super clever, right? But I don't know, just I think like somehow when everyone is trying to push for a scam, really, it's just so hard to control the masses. I wanted to show you a ridiculous one, like I got an advert about learn history with Meta, right? And this was the most cringy thing ever, because like you see like the 2 polygon avatar that they oh, look at the future is the 2 polygon avatar, and then they did advertising like fully immersive history lesson, right? Which is like, it's completely like, it's about 20 years off, right?
Yeah.
So in other, we were worried about doing slightly misleading advert when we presented the cinematic trailer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is nothing compared to. I mean,
Honestly.
I just wanted to find again, like Meta, learn history.
What's crazy is that is like one of the most like, that's an amazing use case of it as well. Like, but like there's like little emphasis like teaching, because like, so again, when I was for like my third project, because you have to do for like the uni projects, you have to justify why you do what you're doing. It's like, I can't just make something because it's cool. I have to be like, why are you doing it? It's like, okay, well, okay, we all know why I'm doing it, but whatever. And it's like VR does actually, it boosts like stuff like memory palisades, so you like recall and retain information better if you do it in VR, because it's like, and then you can train people on like safety critical stuff, because you don't have to recreate the thing and it's safer and all that blah blah, all that whatever. But there's like again, when you said one of those things, it's like it only works if it's semi-real. Like, I remember I saw one, like BP and Shell, they did like a VR thing where like they do it now in the army and stuff like that. So they have like VR simulations where you can like, but you're in VR suits and you like recreate the environment, and you go around and shoot enemies and practice like missions and drills and stuff like that, and like fire safety stuff and like nuclear power plants. You can practice like a emergency shutdown stuff. So stuff like that is really cool. But then when you see like immersive history lessons, you're like, oh wow, like imagine you say, okay, look, well, we're gonna learn about medieval times and like the kind of armies, and so, and you'll put them there, and it's like the world looks so realistic, and it's like, it's super amazing. But it's like, first of all, the to actually render that and have that going, like, you need a lot of power, and like if you're not offloading a lot of stuff to the cloud, it's like, it's the second thing, you're also limited by the size, like the hardware, like having a big old helmet so that it can have a nice GPU in there and like run it all. I just don't even know how. And then yeah, it is false advertising. Like, I don't know, like, because when you think, like, when I think of that, then I'm impressed. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be really cool. Like you said, like a history lesson where you're with dinosaurs. Like that's awesome. But I don't know. I just I can't see it happening anytime soon. Like, I just, because I haven't seen anything that even suggests that we're making progress towards that, like fast enough to be like, oh, I'll see this soon. Like,
yeah, exactly. And like this, also like streaming from the cloud. I mean, Stadia just it was shut down, because I think it's just I think the world needs to really get to grip. Like the amount of energy that you consume by running everything on the cloud, and it's just like just astonishing. I mean, how can you? I don't know. How can you have the infrastructure to run everyone on the cloud like it is now? Everyone has got a computer that runs internet. I mean, with some sort of internet access in one way or the other, right? And if you think that will just be completely off the cloud and with gigabytes of data transfer, every minute, it's like for 8 billion people, it's not gonna happen.
yeah, it's not possible, is it?
The infrastructure is too big. And what scares me, like Google shut down. I mean, Google's got all the power and the computer in the world. Probably only Amazon has got more than Google, right? So Google is basically the most powerful company in the world in that sense, and they keep running. And I don't believe they will. Oh yeah, because they didn't listen to the game, blah blah. That's bullshit. Come on, just Google doesn't do that. Like they shut it down because they couldn't run it. It was as simple as that. It's like there was no chance that they could have that running. And I always think people doing this cloud stuff. Every 10 years, somebody came up with some new cloud thing, and it never works. It's a bit like VR. Every 10 years, somebody just comes with a new version, and then it goes, it goes bad. Like, again. I don't know. It's just like I just wondered that for some things we're way behind where we should be. If you think about 2010, it was the first version of when the guy did the first Oculus, right? It was around that time, right? Probably after 2010, right? Well, 12 years later, is a huge, it's a huge time frame. And nothing really happened, really.
Yeah.
The only thing that happened in VR is that it's gone wireless, and by doing so, it went incredibly poor quality. And that's, I mean, the first demo of the Tuscany house for the Oculus One, it was still the best VR experience in my mind.
Well, that's the weird thing it's weird how we're like humans in general, like in some elements of our, again, because we're limited by energy and power and stuff, but like some elements of like we haven't progressed how people like how we thought we would, or B, like it shows that like evolution in terms of tech isn't just like this linear straight line up. And it's like, so like, because if you look at like space travel, for example, when we went to the moon, people thought, oh my goodness, we'll have into like space travel within 20 years, 30 years. We've been to the moon now. We'll just keep going back and forth and back and forth. Then we'll go to Mars, and then we'll come back, and then we'll, run around different galaxies and our Milky Way and solar systems, blah, 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 all that. And you thought, oh, by now we'd have flying cars. And like, you wouldn't have to pay £100 to get on a train from here to Manchester, because we would just have like a tube that shoots you across thing. And it's like, no, I still have to sit in 5 hours of traffic to get here, to get to Manchester. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, we've been to the moon like once or twice. I don't even know how many times we've been back since we went. And you're like, so, and that's been like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years, however many years since. So if you look back then and you said, okay, in 30 years time, where do you think we'll be? People would have said, oh, like we'd have been to the moon hundreds of times. People would be going up there casually to visit. It'd be like a tourist attraction. And like, we no longer would have like 2D motorways. We'd have like 3-dimensional driving like tunnels underground, or like tubes that you can just sit on and it just fire across. And it's been like 30 years and we still have traffic, and you're just like, you know what I mean? Like, just such a mundane thing like traffic, that we still have that. So yeah, I don't know, like, yeah, I guess evolution isn't just like a straight line. It's bump peaks.
No, yeah, it's very, I mean, it's always pointing upward.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, for the most part. But yeah, sometimes it's exponential, sometimes it's, I mean, the same thing about AI. I say, oh, look, in just, I love the guy, the 2 minutes paper, right? And he always say, oh, look, just to think about what they can do 2 papers down the line. But come on, guy. I mean, you're a great guy. I love the guy. But that's complete BS. I mean, 2 papers down the line, and you still have the same thing, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like scale is everything as well. Like,
it's almost scale, right? Yeah. Like I had we talked with Christian, and which was like, he worked out like 2015. He said we're like 7 years right down the line, and just nobody can really do anything consistent. Like, when you just need to do a mass scale production, then it's only when it falls apart. And there are some flukes here and there, like Stable Diffusion. You say, look, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing, it's cool, but it's just one thing that works out of a million things that they don't, right? And it doesn't even work as any use in practical terms, because you can't really control it yet, right? So, okay, yeah, you got 1 out of a million thing that works, but yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah. I just chatted with my friend about like he was asking about like AI tech for like games and stuff, and it was like, well, yeah, it's coming, like it's really cool, it's interesting, like motion matching, all this stuff. But I was like, it's a lot of there's a lot of pre-processing that goes into making a lot of this stuff work. Like, it's not that we just like this doesn't all happen at runtime. Like, you have to train the model, but like people say, oh, why can't just all games just have AI that makes the character move? So, well, you have to train it. Be like, I think there's a perception. People think that you're just feeding data from the start. You just write up a little code and add some numbers in, and then you just start feeding data straight away. And it's like, well, the AI doesn't know what to like. It isn't trained. Like, you have to train it so that it knows what it's doing. Like, you have to teach it basically. And like we see, like those 2D papers, they're really cool. Be like, this model was able to do jumps and flips. I mean, it looked janky. Like, it looks super like, but it's like it's pretty interesting. It looks cool. It's like 100%. But then you're like, oh my goodness, like in a year we might have like a whole parkour athlete. I'm like, nah. Like, if it took like 5 years to just get this thing to walk straight, you know, what I mean? Imagine like, and that's just 2D. It's just 2-dimensional. Like, it's just movement on like steps and stuff like that. Imagine like you say, okay, now add in 1,000 different vaults you can do, and like train it on all of them. And it's like, oh, this took 20 days to train. You're like, okay, well, and a supercomputer, and it's like, oh crap. Like, imagine once you start to try and scale this, and now, okay, replicate this across a network and all that stuff. It's just like, yeah, it's a madness. But it's cool.
Yeah, what I like about AI mainly is that it's not democratic at all. It's like only a bunch of companies, and that really scares me. Only a bunch of companies in the world, like Google, Nvidia, Amazon, Microsoft, and Facebook probably. They have enough resources to run like super big data centers to train the data, right? So like that is, like, the barrier to entry is infinite to anybody else. Like, you cannot possibly be a startup that work on AI without having some sort of help or grant from Nvidia or whoever, right? Whoever holds the key to the computing power, and that is so frustrating. I mean, yeah, look, you train the model for 30 days, but if you have this Nvidia A1 whatever, it just takes, I don't know, like 30 minutes. Yeah, but that thing costs, 1 million pounds. Well, more than that. I don't know. It costs like 15. Whatever the price is, like, it's just like unachievable to pretty much anyone else. Yeah. And that really bothers me.
I never even thought of it that way. There's a massive like entry barrier. I never thought of it that way, but it's so true. Like, you don't even, like, what you can actually do is completely limited by how much money you have. Like realistically, because you just don't have the ability, the power to do it. Like, only a very few companies do. So you can be like, you can have the most amazing idea, but you'd have to bring it to one of these companies to even make it viable. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Which just completely eliminates any kind of competition for them, because they're like, well, you can't do it. We have all the tech. Like, you could try, but you won't work because it'll take you 1,000 years to train it. Yeah, it's true.
You remember there was the thing they say, like I don't know, 10 years ago, like it said, if the service is free, you are the product, right? And then it changed into, if the service is free, you are the training data, right? And then he changed it again. If the service, no, like, now you're not just the training data, but like there is a huge process of tagging, right? Like, tag the right thing for the neural network to understand if, I don't know, if that is a picture of a cat or not. You still need to have this validation cycle that at the moment it's done manually, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it probably in a few years won't be needed anymore, but at the moment you still need to validate new data manually. So, there was this massive company in, I don't remember where it was, like Taiwan or like where they built the iPhones. It's like they got 100,000 people working there, all like underage slaves, like pay like 1p a day or something like
Yeah.
that, right? With the like they had the net around the the compound because people were just jumping off the window, like for suicides, and they had to
Oh,
put the
wow.
nets. I mean, if you have, you know, if you're in that scenario, just it's just silly, right? So, and that one was like because people needed to build these iPhones, and pretty much every other chip in the world just went through this company. But now they have the same. But I don't know. I think it's in India or some places with highly densely populated, which are there are like literally millions of people paid like 1 pence a day, and all they do is to tag AI data. And if you think about it, that is just silly for these massive companies like Nvidia, blah blah, to run their training set, blah blah, so they can train the data. I think this whole thing is so, you know, if you look into it, it's so sick. And what really bothers me is just people just say, "Oh yeah, look, AI is amazing," blah blah, and you know, this AI metaverse, blah blah. Everyone trying to get a slice of this cake, and just like, but look at the thing. It's just a scam. It's just an utter scam.